Hello, back like we never left, BDA, and we're here to talk about One Piece chapter 1001. It is now out officially, so of course we're going to dive into it as we always do. Just a quick update, we're used to talking about the chapter and showing everything that happened in the chapter in the analysis. Going forward, there will be none of that based on things that's been happening in the community and the copyright strikes and different guidelines. So going forward, there will be no panels, or not every panel shown based on what I'm talking about. We're going to try to use clever imagery and ways to explain what I'm trying to say without using the source material. This is becoming increasingly risky, so just to protect myself, there'll be no panels. Right? Things may change in the future, but for right now, there can be none. So with that said, let's get to the chapter. But first, I want to say, if you're here for the first time, make sure to like and subscribe. That certainly helps me out a lot. Sometimes you watch a video or two or three, and you don't even realize you're not subscribed. So, hit that subscribe button, and thank you so much. Let's continue. I thought it was really interesting, them asking Luffy if he understands what it means to be the Pirate King. And I think this is a really interesting scenario and question I would hope for Oda to continue to flesh out, because I don't think Luffy understands what it means to be Pirate King yet. I think Luffy just wants to be Pirate King because of the things and the perks it brings. Not saying he's doing it for the accolades, but more so for the idea of freedom. But he doesn't really understand what it means to find the One Piece. However, that's why Luffy has people around him who understand that, who can support him in times like this. But I found it interesting that they were talking to Luffy and asking him if he knew what it takes to become the Pirate King, and I'm assuming that they have an idea or they know what it means to be Pirate King, but I think it's some warped view that they have based on their personality and traits. It's not going to be exactly what the One Piece is. It's just going to be from their perspective, this is what the One Piece is and this is how you should be. So I thought it was very interesting that they asked Luffy that, because that's a very important question. In regards to the haki that Luffy is using, obviously it is Rio, and we know Rio is haki in Wano, but there is an advanced application to this, and the flowing cherry blossom, whatever you want to call it, people classify that as Rio. I know it's a very confusing thing because you're talking about haki and then you're talking about a technique and using the same word. It could definitely get lost in translation, so we're going to try to keep things as clear as possible, right? At first, I thought it was a weird thing with Zoro asking about the haki that Luffy learned in Wano, and Kid being surprised at the haki, and Killer even saying what he said, basically undermining his captain a bit, but Law and what he's worried about was, of course that's hilarious, we'll get to that. But Rio, the essence of the flowing haki, is not a very prevalent thing. It's something that we've seen only a few characters use in the series, so it makes a lot of sense for characters not to know exactly about it. Now, the conversation has come up about Zoro and knowing Rio, but we gotta wait and see exactly. I think Zoro absolutely knows Rio, and again, that's the advanced application, not necessarily haki. We know Zoro knows haki, but I'm talking about the advanced application. Does Zoro know that? Of course, Enma, that's the whole purpose of it, but we'll talk about that a bit more later. Even for Big Mom, talking about what it means to be Pirate King is just driving the point home that I would like the question answered. Does Luffy know what it means to become the Pirate King? And there's going to be a really simplified answer, but they're not just asking that for no reason. Kaido's top 5, that's something I'm going to expound upon in a specific video for sure, but I thought it was interesting. People are definitely downplaying characters that aren't mentioned here, but I just want you guys to understand these are characters more than likely Kaido has gone up against in some capacity in the past. We know he went against Shanks. We know for sure he went against Roger, Zebek Whitebeard, and of course Odin. We saw that. So that's what I'm going off of. These are the people that he's fought who probably can damage him or have damaged him. I'm really starting to like Happy Kaido and the fact that he came back with a Thunder Bagua, and Luffy somewhat shook it off. Now, I want to be clear here. Luffy straight up says that he's using Future Sight, or he saw the future, and I think that's the reason why he wasn't knocked out, or partially the reason, is because he was able to react a little bit so he didn't get the full onslaught of the blow. That's how I'm looking at it, but of course Luffy has been training as well, and trained Luffy is a completely different beast. People were complaining about Zoro and his Foxfire style, which I don't think is an issue at all. People were saying, well, we should have seen it happen, and I'm like, well, for One Piece, a lot of things happen behind the scenes that you just don't know about. Of course, you can make inferences and try to piece things together yourself, and that's why sometimes we come to multiple different interpretations of one particular scene or one particular chapter or even panel, because One Piece is like that. It's a lot of nuance, so it typically comes down to the person and what you see and how you feel about things. And Oda, in some of his answers and how he does things, is to put you in a bind. He does not want to make that option easy for you. Now, I don't want to get too far away from the actual point in regards to Zoro learning it off screen, but there were so many instances in which he could have learned it. Zoro is a master swordsman. I don't think this is very difficult for him to learn at all, but I thought it was really cool and absolutely necessary, because that's something we've been waiting for. We've been waiting for Zoro to do something this epic and hype, and I definitely loved it. The story is again reiterating that Zoro is and can be the voice of reason in severe times of need, and even here he's telling them not to let down their guard because they're fighting Yonko, and they're fighting two of them. And in the same instance, he had Law move Luffy around, and then he's chewing him out because of what happened in the previous chapter, in which we talked about it briefly, well, more than briefly, in which Luffy told Law to move the scabbards below, and Law just did it without asking. He's basically letting him know, well, I only did it because I was gonna do it anyway, not because you asked me to. I think the banter between Kid, Luffy, and Law is very, very good. I think Kid presents an interesting dynamic because I think he genuinely does not like them. So the shade and the jabs he throws, I think he genuinely means them, right? Whereas for Law, he just wants some more respect. So it's a really weird dynamic, but I really would like to see more of them interact in that way. And of course, that continues because Big Mom lets go the heavenly fireballs. And now they're playing chicken with these fireballs. The last person to move wins, obviously. So for them, it led to an amazing panel with Zoro chewing them out, saying, what are we doing? Do we understand the risk? Do we understand the circumstances? Why are we playing around right now? It was interesting as well seeing Zoro put on his bandana, but I think the dialogue between him and Killer was pretty top tier, man. I like the fact that Zoro has been in close proximity to Killer before, right? Before this moment, but he specifically took this time to say, try not to get in my way, Kamazo the Manslayer, right? And then he pretty much talks about his laugh. I wonder if he was thinking about Pika at that point because of how weird Killer's laugh was. But I love these two together because Killer's saying, well, if I had my punishers, you would have lost. And Zoro's saying, well, I don't care what you would have had, you would have still taken this L. So it's just great dialogue and back and forth from these two. They both attack Kaido and Kaido seemed to laugh it off. Again, Zoro at this point, he has to bring out more of Enma's power, bring out more of his own power, but I think it's 100% foreshadowing that Zoro will be doing something to Kaido in the future for sure. The transformations were amazing. I think seeing Kid go to Punk Rotten, Luffy to Gear 4th, and then Law just opening room, you know, it does feel a bit weird because Law, that's all he has, opening room, while the others are transforming into these big badasses. But I'm sure if you're Law, you don't mind remaining grounded. That's kind of his personality, so it is what it is. However, the transformations were sick. I mean, Kid, you know, it had to grow on me. At first, I was like, what is he doing? What is this mecha BS? And the more I read the chapter, the more I like it, the more I think it's showing his overwhelming or very impressive devil fruit usage, being able to make this thing and control it seamlessly. Obviously, Gear 4th for Luffy and Law being prepared with his room open. Weird because they got hits in on Kaido with Luffy with the Kong gun, Kid with the Punk Vice, and Law using his rocks. It had no damage. It seems to have little to no damage. So now we're back to square one. Like, okay, what are we gonna do? Of course, these guys haven't pulled out all the stops yet, but it's looking really dire right now. And again, they're only engaged with Kaido. Big Mom is just sitting back, of course, launching attacks just randomly. However, she's not in play or in motion at this time. Like I said, I know it's weird. She's right there, but it's Kaido's arc, and Big Mom is going to essentially play support for Kaido or come in really opportune moments, I think. I saw people complaining about just how the Supernova Trio did things in regards to they would have liked more from Kid. They felt like it was a bit too surface level. It should have been a bit better. But when you think about it and look at it, just how much work went into these panels, I can't help but feel just elated and happy and just full of joy knowing that we were born in this time and we get to experience One Piece, right? I like the fact that Kaido is calling them monsters, even though, you know, calling them mini, little, whatever. It makes sense because these are the monsters of the new generation, and them taking down Kaido together makes the absolute most sense. Kaido also talking about the massive step to become the Pirate King is really interesting because he knows just how important this battle is. If he were to lose, if Big Mom were to lose, that completely changes everything, and I think that we really don't want that. But by this point, it's been some beautiful art, some amazing art. The spreads are glorious. These are things we have hypothesized, got fan art for, but now it is actually real. Luffy, Kid, Law, Zoro, Killer against Kaido. I think overall a fantastic chapter. So much action, and I think as a One Piece fan, you don't get that very often. So when you get it, you really appreciate it. Like, I really love just how much this chapter showed what these characters can do at the moment. But we know 100% they're gonna grow. Luffy's currently in Gear 4th. We know he has Snake Man, but I don't know. Based on everything I've seen so far, I do not know how these guys can overcome Kaido. But guys, give me your thoughts. How do you feel about chapter 1001? Was it better than chapter 1000? How do you feel about Zoro and Enma's power? Just let me know. Make sure to like the video if you did, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BrogDAce. Follow me on Instagram, brogdy.ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Guys, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
I start doubting me, I felt lost.